We're here to give you the game so you don't get your shot blocked. We made the mistakes so you won't have to. Free game.
During your time in college, I don't want to go into great detail, but kind of describe that situation.
So going back to the people in the frat before I was a part of the frat, who I thought carried major weight on campus life, the community. This was one of those people. And back in June of 2009, I was in summer school. That was part of my plan. I was in summer school, and so we're out in Nacogdoches, Texas. And so the summer in Nacogdoches is dead, right? It's the place people should go if they ever want to like focus or do anything. Anyway, so it's dead out in Nac, and my friend was a party promoter, president of the frat. The frat was suspended at the time, and so he would still keep the frat living through, a company, right? We have parties under the pseudonym name for the frat. And so basically, like, these were frat parties. Like, if you knew, you knew. Like, this was that. Right. So this particular night, it wasn't a party. It was just like, come out and kick it, the drinks, the food, it's all good. And so we go to this restaurant bar thing, and it's not very many people at all. Again, Nacogdoches in the summertime is dead. And as part of that, I grab a couple of my partners and we go. And so we're in the spot having a very good time, as you would do with free drinks, especially when you're like dead broke. And so, everybody's lit, having a good time. It's probably, 20 people in this restaurant. I know 17 of the people. I go to school with them. And then there are 3 other cats in the back corner, and they just over there like chilling, posted, which is fine, like enjoy the vibe. You don't have to be part of the vibe to enjoy the vibe. And so they just back there in the cut. It comes time to leave. It's 2 a.m. and everybody's like walking outside. So we get to the parking lot. The parking lot is adjacent to the building. And I'm in the parking lot, just kicking it. Somebody's playing music, and it's just a vibe. And everybody's like lit. And so I'm like talking, and before you know it, like you hear a gunshot. And Nacogdoches was a place where it wasn't completely abnormal to hear a gunshot. So I hear the gunshot, and I'm lit, and so I don't put 2 and 2 together. And so it's just like, la, la, la. And then seconds later, you hear more. And so I turn around and I see my friend running. So he's in the street at this point. He's running back toward the building. And I'm in this parking lot over here. And there's a guy with a gun that's chasing him. And he cuts around in front of this van that's parked in front of the building. And then the guy's like running behind him. He gets on the other side of this van, and you hear more shots. And so at this point, like everybody's like, oh, somebody's like shooting for real. And so we're probably, call it 100 feet away. Like you can easily hit him with a baseball or football, whatever. And so I'm in the parking lot. I'm starting to like walk over, but I'm still hearing gunshots, and so I'm like, kind of frantic and panicked. And I'm in the parking lot walking over, and this blue Durango like screeches out the parking lot, like behind me. I'm like, somebody's shooting. I get it. Like they dip it off. And so it pulls up, and a dude gets into the blue Durango, and they peel off again. And so get on the other side of the van, and my friend who was in the frat, was shot. He was shot, and so the thing about promoting parties, particularly at this time, this was before Cash App, this was before you could Venmo somebody, and you would always pay cash. That was like a thing, and so he had a wad of money always. And I remember in the bar, restaurant, him, to pay for a round of drinks, it was off in the corner though, or the three dudes who I don't know. And so basically the dude shot him and ran through his pockets and dipped. And so him being there, you sort of watch somebody who's been shot several times just clinging on to life. And we call 911, and the police get there in an ungodly amount of time. It was almost like when the white girl called the police. Like, they showed up very quickly. And so the police station happened to be across the street. And they got there so fast that you could still see the blue Durango driving up the street from picking up old boy. And so like, hey, yeah, like that was like totally them. And so they dip off and go chase after him. And so eventually, according to the reports, they try to pull over that Durango. They caught up to it, and one person jumped out the car and fled on foot into the woods. They found him a day later in a different town. The other dudes in the truck, they took them into custody, questioned them and let them go. And so we are back at the restaurant, bar, whatever, waiting on the ambulance. It takes the ambulance forever though, like forever.
Trust me, I know, man. Trust me.
It takes forever. But he's still breathing. Very labored breaths though. And me, when they get there and he's still breathing, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is the point you want to be at. Like, you keep him alive until the ambulance can get there and do whatever they do. And so he's still breathing when they get there, and by the time they strap him up to the gurney and put him in the ambulance, they're starting chest compressions, right? And so that's like never a good sign. But I'm like, they did it like immediately though, like before a big lapse in time passes. And so, like, bro got a shot, like, and then his stature is such that it's big dude, and both in the literal sense and in the figurative sense, but because on campus, like, he's that guy. And then he's like, he just happens to be a big ass dude. And so between those two things, in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, nah. Yeah, nah. And so we get to the hospital, and hours go by. His people lived in Houston, which was 2.5 hours away. Somebody drove to pick them up to drive them back to Nac. By this time, the sun is coming up, and his mama gets there, and we still in the hospital waiting room trying to figure out what's happening, because they won't tell us nothing because we not kin.
Right. HIPAA.
And we're there, and she walks through some double doors, and the double doors